A year ago, if I mentioned or somebody mentioned the word Zoom to me, I don't know about the rest of you, but I would have thought immediately of a nice lolly that I used to have as a child, a fruit ice lolly, and I can see other people nodding as well. Zoom has now become part of my daily life. It's just how we do things right now in these circumstances. And indeed, on Saturday, I took part in the General Synod of our church, which was held online. Now, they had a whole technical team behind them, and there were a few gremlins. We, however, are blessed with having a very a much smaller, but equally skilled team of techie people. So to Richard and Andrew, who are the chief parts of our Holy Trinity Communication Group, can I thank them as we begin our meeting this evening and hope that everybody can sign in and you've got signed in okay without any too much hassle. A couple of things to go, if I may, about protocol. The best thing is to have your machine muted so that we don't hear any background noises. If you want to speak, can you raise your hand or indicate, and we'll have a look at the screen and I will call you in. And either I will ask you to unmute or indeed Andrew, as the host, can unmute you as well. I don't anticipate that there's going to be any voting this evening. However, if we are required to have a vote, then I will ask that by a show of hands. And again, it can be counted from your presence on the screens in front of us. I'm very grateful to everybody who submitted reports for the various groups of our church, and we will deal with these in the course of the agenda. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have read my own rector's report as part of our Sunday worship. Tonight, however, it's been included in your papers that most of you received online, and for others it was sent out by post. Due to the way that this meeting is going to be conducted, the reports will be taken as read, so we won't be reading them from the report papers. You'll just take them as read. And before they're accepted, however, I will ask for any comments or any questions, and whoever has written that report may, if they wish, want to say something about that. At the end of the meeting, we'll conclude with a prayer, and I will invite you to all say the grace together. As we begin our meeting, first of all, can I welcome you? And I'm going to look and see from Fiona if we have any apologies, and if those apologies have been noted.
Apologies from Faith Cuthbertson, Teresa Forsyth, Francis Jack, and Sheila and Ron Hawkins.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fiona. Those apologies are noted. We come to item 2 of our agenda. It says here obituary, but that is when we remember in prayer those of our congregation who have died since our last annual congregational meeting. So can I ask you to hold a moment of quietness as we remember in prayer those of our number who have died. We remember Aileen Muirhead, Doreen Cuthbertson, Maureen Lang, and Winnie Miller. Rest eternal grant unto them, O Lord, and let light perpetual shine upon them. Amen. Can I now ask if the minutes of the annual congregational meeting of the 1st of December 2019, can they be accepted and taken as read, please? And if I could have a raise of hands, that would be super if they can be taken as read. If there are any objections, then please let me know. Thank you one and all. Thank you very much. So again, I can sign a copy of those when Fiona attends church at the next opportunity. Are there any matters arising from these minutes that will not be dealt with in the course of this agenda? Thank you very much indeed. If we can then move on to item 5, Rector's report. Now you have my report, or you've received my report, and it's been part of your papers. The one thing that I would like to say, and having delivered this report to you, is I want to stress my grateful thanks. These are unprecedented times that we're experiencing. Nothing is normal. We're all trying to learn new things, new ways of communicating, and we all have a hope and an earnest hope and desire that we will get back to some sense of normality as soon as possible. With that in mind, can I offer my grateful thanks? And I know I've mentioned them already, but I want to say them again, because particular thanks to Richard and Andrew, who have done all the technical stuff that you will see on Sunday mornings. As most of you will know, and I've said this, in fact, I said this in a breakout group at General Synod on Saturday, I have the unique ability that I can kill a computer just by looking at it. In my previous post, the secretary who I worked alongside, shared the same office, I used to just walk in the office some days and she said, "Kenny, what have you done?" And I would look at her innocently and say, "What do you mean?" She said, "What have you done?" And I said, "Well, what's wrong?" She said, "Something's gone wrong with the computer." And I hadn't even touched it. So I have no technical skills, but Richard and Andrew have, and I'm very grateful to them. My job is in front of the camera, as it were. They're behind the camera. So I'd like you all to offer your grateful thanks to them for this evening, and for all during the recent months, and indeed the times that we shared together. So to Wedge and indeed to Richard, thank you very much indeed from all of us. Having given that report, and it's all contained in the papers in front of you, I don't now ask if they've got has any comments or indeed any questions as to the content of the report, or questions that you might want to ask of me at this point in time. That's grand. It's lovely to have a sea of muted faces, so there we are, that's it. Thank you very much indeed, folks. If I could then hand over to Chris as our treasurer for item 6 in the report, the financial report. Chris, would you care to talk us through some of the papers and the documents, please?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Kenny. I think the first thing to say is a big thank you actually to everyone for moving on to standing orders for donations. That's made a huge difference, and thanks very much also to Rod for helping to organise that. Obviously, as we moved into lockdown, we weren't able to take cash donations or envelope donations in church, so all of that's moved online, and that's really been very helpful. We were predicting that we would have a deficit this year, and as you may see, we've actually avoided that. So it looks as though it's good news, and of course, in a way it is. But I think it's worth pointing out that we've only achieved that because we took out some money from the church's investment. So we took out £10,000 right at the beginning of the year, actually. And there have been a number of what you might call one-off items, things that we probably can't expect to recur every year. And the largest of those was a legacy, actually, that we received, and that was worth nearly another £10,000. So if you put all that together, we came out with a healthy surplus this year, but I wouldn't want to give the impression that that means that everything is vastly different from this time last year. We still have the challenge of meeting expenditure from the income that we have, and that's something I know we'll be talking about in more detail over the next few months. So that's really all I was going to say, but happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, Chris, and thank you for your work there. Having just spent some time this afternoon in the Diocesan Administration Board, which is convened by Brendan, one of the items on the agenda there was to see how churches throughout the diocese can do exactly what Rod has very kindly done, and that is encourage people who used to give by cash donations to actually go and do it by standing order. So I'm delighted to say, offer thanks to Rod, but also to say that Holy Trinity was ahead of the game. So thank you very much for that. That's much appreciated. Chris has presented the accounts. Do we have any questions from anybody that they would like to ask of Chris about the accounts? Oliver, please.
May I just ask Chris, please, to give us a quick sense of how unexpected changes in income and expenditure have arisen from the COVID experience. I noticed that some of the, if I'm reading it correctly, that some of the expenditures are down, as one would expect, and others are up. Could he just give us a thumbnail sketch of what has been more expensive than expected, what has been less expensive than expected because of this, the circumstances of this year?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Oliver. So I'll do that maybe with reference to the income and the expenditure side separately. So on the income side, as I mentioned, there were a number of items that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And the ones that are related to COVID, I suppose, are some of the grants that we received. We were fortunate. There was an effort made by several members of the congregation, several members of the vestry to bring in grants. So we received a grant from Interfaith, for example, that we wouldn't necessarily have had otherwise, and so on. So there are a number of those. Things that have worked out more expensive, I'm not sure there have been too many of those. It's been more on the income side. On the expenditure side, probably we've done a little better than we might have thought, because just to take a couple of examples, some of the cleaning bills have been lower because there have been periods when the church wasn't used. There were periods when we weren't having organ music, for example, although Roger did a great job, of course. So that also helped. Net, I think probably it helped a bit actually in COVID, and we probably got more unexpected income than we did unexpected extra expenditure. The thing that has made the big difference, as I mentioned, was the legacy that we received, but of course that's not really to do with COVID.
Oliver, does that answer your question?
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Oliver. I think as people, well, certainly the vestry and other members of the congregation may know, is that we have planned to improve the church plant by putting a glass door, on the main door that leads onto the east port.
Do you want to put the pictures up, Kenny?
If you could, Wens, that would be super. This gives you an indication of what we're going to look at. As you can see, this is the design that very grateful to Adrian Neville, who drew up these plans, and they have been passed by the council. Adrian's now in the process of looking to try and see if we can get a contractor. The top section is basically three parts. The top section is permanent, but the two swing doors, we have to have a logo. One of the things that the council planning department said, we needed to have some logo on the doors themselves, because they are clear glass doors, and obviously to stop people walking into them and whatever. So we have to have some indication. The design of that's still not confirmed yet, but that's a sketch as to what the design may well look like in time to come. So I hope that helps with your understanding. It will also be, there'll be a light that will be there. The main thing being that we can have, at present, as you know, in the church, the door is unlocked, but it is closed. So from a mission point of view, it's only those who are in the know that know about it. And really what we can do here is we've got a glass door, we can have somebody standing there to welcome people in, and it's a visible presence and sign to the people in the main street. It also enhances the outlook of the building. It will also help keep the vestibule a lot warmer, because although we can keep the inner door open, these doors can be kept shut, and therefore there's far less draft that will be there, and we will put a heating unit above the door, so you have this heat blanket or heat curtain as you come in. So that gives you an idea of some of the plans that the vestry have worked at in recent times. I'll just change the view again. I think if we can just go back to normal view, Andrew, that'd be great. The costings of this, the Vestry made a decision we would not fundraise for this. And we were grateful to the fact that we have a legacy, and the decision is to use the bulk of that legacy to pay for the door. There will be times and items that we need to maybe look at fundraising and stewardship next year, but more to come for that in the future. For the present, just to let you know that that's the door that we're hoping to have built in the very near future. And as I said, the costs will be paid for from the legacy. And that was the decision that the Vestry arrived at. So I hope that that meets with your approval. And as soon as we get that underway, then I think it will enhance the building as well. And that'd be super. Any questions about the door and indeed about the finances, any other finances that Chris has spoken about? Oh, Andrew?
Yeah, just so we just two I suppose there will be more expenditure on technical equipment. We're thankful to Richard for borrowing a lot of his to kind of keep it going. We're kind of at the limits of what we can do, but to try and get something more permanent that means that Richard can have a Sunday off would be really helpful, and having something that anybody could use would be really, really good. So something a bit more permanent. The only other thing we've got is the church sign. We've got contractors on board to do that, who we've got a mock-up that I could show you, suppose, but there's a rough signage that we're hopefully going to get. We were always planning to do this, but the old sign is blown down anyway, so we don't have any excuse. So hopefully we'll get that up before Christmas, but it's kind of awaiting contractors to kind of get back to me, but we'll try and get something sorted on that really, really soon. Happy to show it if you want, Kenny, but it's...
Do you want to have a quick view of it, then people can see what it's anticipated to look like?
Yep, so there we go. So this was the last mock-up we had done. So the details are obviously not correct. This was just the mock-up that they did for us. The idea is that the sign will be illuminated at night time, so you'll be able to see the logos will all be illuminated. The "We Will Welcome You" will be illuminated. This bit here will be, you can change because it's just a vinyl sticker effectively, so we can change the times, the rector, any social media information. I'm not trying to get rid of you already, Kenny. That wasn't a note for the minutes. And then this section up here will be an A3 snap frame, so we can then put posters up. That sort of thing can then go up and be changed as the season goes on to give kind of additional information on that. And yeah, it'll be kind of backlit and double-sided, so 90 degrees to where the current one was before it blew down. So hopefully you can see it going both ways.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. Nice work. So thank you, folks. Again, the sign that will be put up to, as I said, you're not getting rid of me yet, but at least if you do want to do that, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Just take off a strip of plastic and that's it. Anyway, Wes, thank you. Thanks very much. Can I ask them for the, Chris, do you want to say anything about the budget, or do we just accept that?
The only thing I would say, thanks, Kenny, the only thing I would say about the budget is that actually, as you may notice, it's not very different from the budget that we created last year. So we thought it best not to change things too much just because of what happened this year. You know, the underlying reality is probably much the same. So as I said earlier, just because we've come out with a surplus this year, we probably shouldn't. We should be more prudent than that and not assume that that will happen again. So the budget is broadly similar to what we had this year.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Isabel, you have a question, please?
Yes. Chris suggested that we would have been in a deficit this year had it not been for COVID and the legacy. That being so, that implies that we're going to be in a deficit next year if things stay the same.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Isabel. If we took COVID out of the equation for a minute and assumed that things went back to normal fairly quickly, we'd have to assume that there would be no legacy. Then yes, we would be predicting a deficit, and I'm afraid that's been the case for the last few years as well. And it's a longer term challenge to see how we might be able to work our way out of that. And I think last year we were thinking that rather than being able to achieve that just in one big step. We might have to work up to it over 2 or 3 years or whatever it might be. But yes, you're absolutely right. That's the reality.
Okay.
I think the other thing there, Isabel, is that the vestry have got a subcommittee of a finance group, and had things been normal, that finance group perhaps would have met more often, but it is certainly the anticipation that come the new year, the finance group will have a look at how we can address this issue about the financial deficit that we're incurring.
Okay.
Thank you. Chris, thank you very much. Any other, no questions, more questions? If I can move on to Rod then, please. Oh, sorry, I thought Jack, but no. Rod, would you please give your Gift to Aid Secretary's report? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I've got anything else to add to my report, only to thank all those that have continued to support the church during the pandemic, to ensure that when COVID-19's consigned to the history book, there'll still be a church there for us to all come back to. And that was quoted to me by one of the people that I contacted right at the beginning. So nothing else to add. Thank you.
Well, Rod, thank you very much. And indeed, Rod, thank you for contacting people and asking them to change from the cash donation to the online or banking details. So much appreciated for all the work that you've done. Can I then move on to the appointment of the independent examiner, please? Chris, do you want to speak to that again?
Yes, this is just to say that once a year the accounts have to go off and be checked over by the independent examiner and then turned into a formal format which can then be lodged with the charity regulator. And Thomson Cooper is the firm that has done that for us in the past, and we propose that they do that again unless there's any objections.
Can I look around the rooms, as it were, if everybody's happy with that appointment, please? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thanks very much. Chris, at this point, can I thank you very much for all the hard work that you do on behalf of Holy Trinity. It's like the secretary with these jobs, people only see it as it were when they come to meetings, but the work goes on day by day, and we are well served in the work that Chris does on our behalf. So on behalf of the congregation, Chris, can I thank you for all the hard work that you've done, particularly in difficult circumstances, unusual circumstances, and the fact that we're now in the process of moving on to electronic banking as well. So Chris is handling that on our behalf as well. So Chris, thank you very much from everybody here this evening and for all the hard work that you do. It is so much appreciated by us all. Thank you. If we can now move on to item 7, which is the acceptance of written reports. And I'm just going to I'll go through these reports as it were by name and ask if there's any comment. If there's no comment, then I will ask for your acceptance. People's Warden report by Linda. Do we have any comments or questions? None? Okay, thank you. I shall take that one as read. Thank you, Linda. The vestry, that has been presented by James as our secretary and Fiona as our administrator. Again, I'm looking to see if there are any comments or questions about that report. Nope. Once again, can I thank both James and Fiona for that report. Our lay representatives report from Linda. And are there any questions that you would want to ask of Linda, or indeed of Richard as our alternative lay representative? None? Well, can I thank both Linda and Richard for their work as well in representing us at diocesan meetings. The Child Protection and Vulnerable Adult Coordinator, more normally known these days as Safeguarding, so from Andrew. Andrew has presented his report. And again, can I look and see if there's any comments or questions about that? Andrew, can I once again thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the congregation, and indeed Andrew has just made sure that we're ahead of our game and has completed the annual return which gets sent to the diocesan office. So Andrew, thank you very much for undertaking that role and for the work that you do as our safeguarding officer, which is an important role in the life of the church. It's much appreciated. Thank you. Church organisations, various bits and bobs. If I go through these in my own notes here, the 50/50 Club. Again, can I thank everybody who's involved with that? Nothing more to be said. That's the financial group. Oh, sorry, the meditation group.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Rodney, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, you got your Sunday tie.
Yeah.
I've got it's on the screen, it's got his Rodney in there.
Yeah. I've just got three things, and they're all thank yous. Thank you to all the people that of the 50/50 Club for their continued support. Thank you and Ruth for doing the draw to keep us going over the last few months. And finally, I'd like to thank the three ladies that helped me out, and that's Linda, Doreen, and Helen. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you. I have to say that when the draw has been done in the right train and Ruth study, it's with me closing my eyes, putting my hand in and picking up the number. I feel I should be doing this for the Euro Millions, but there we are. That could be, I'll get a new job with that. That's it. Meditation group. Linda, do you want to say anything? Okay, thank you. The Young Church. I know Elaine's not with us this evening. Shona, do you want to add anything that we would need to add for the Young Church at all? No. No. Okay, thank you. And again, although the Young Church haven't been meeting physically, they are still very much a part of our church presence. And as you know, Frank, my Franciscan Teddy, that you will see at various services, represents the Young Church, and indeed has been commented on by as far afield as a religious lady from the Netherlands who said, "What's the significance?" So, to great delight to say to her that it represents our Young Church. The Fife Youth Cluster, Andrew, Youth Fellowship, anything to say?
Well, very quickly, I think this year we took the opportunity of being stuck in the house to extend YF to add YF plus, and I just draw attention. I think that's been one of the best things we've done as a youth group in a long time. It was quite daunting for me specifically, but actually it's worked really well, and the comments back are just, I mean, it's a different level when people are coming to you, young people, and saying if it wasn't for that element, their faith wouldn't be anywhere near where it is today. So I think that's a really good addition that our church now offers, and it's a great service that people can use, and I think have been using it.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say that I now survived 2 games of hitting sticks, and indeed Ruth survived one earlier on this year as well. So just for the young people, there was a presentation at General Synod, and our youth cluster did a marvellous, and I mean that, a marvellous presentation. It was by far the best presentation of the whole of the youth item on that synod, and I really want to thank that and endorse what Andrew said. They're a great bunch, they're great fun, and it's fantastic to work with them and be alongside them in their journey of faith, and it's so important. So thank you very much to Youth Fellowship and indeed the Young Church. Holy Trinity Friendship Group. Yvonne, is there anything that you would like to say? No? Okay. Well, once again, can we thank the Friendship Group for all that they do, and the fellowship and community that they engender amongst us all. It's so much appreciated. The Baking Stall and Dorcas Group. Now, I know that Sheila's unable to be with us, and she sent in her report. I very much look forward to the time when churches open again and sausage rolls will be on sale, that we can eat immediately after the service, because they're of such a high standard. You can see Ruth in the background there shaking her hands already. So can we offer our grateful thanks to those who are involved in that? And that'd be super. Andrew's now posted you on, you can see there's a link for the youth fellowship that was presented at the synod on Saturday. Eve, retiring collections, is there anything that we need to say about retiring collections? No. Okay, thank you very much. If I can then move on to our elections.
Just a quick one, Kenny. There was an additional report added.
I've got it in my notes, if I may. Is it the prayer group? Can I say thank you? It's lovely that there's a prayer group that's now been established, which isn't purely Holy Trinity, it's people from other churches as well. But they meet fortnightly online, but they also pray regularly. And if you ever want to have any item prayed for, and I know some of us have put in prayer requests, then those are held daily by these people. There's a degree of confidentiality, obviously, but please know that it is a wonderful resource for our church that is there and undergirds our faith, that we are a praying church, and that's super. So thank you very much indeed. Brendan, sorry, the food bank as well. Do you want to say anything, Brendan? Just it's still there. We need to, again, we need to find a way that we can contribute to that whilst we're still in there. And I'm just sending you the prayer request note as well. If we can then move on to elections. People's Warden, I'm delighted to say that Linda Sherwood has been proposed by Rod and seconded by Roger. And again, this is an appointment from behalf of the congregation. So I hope that this meets with your approval, continued approval, dare I say, that Linda continues in this post as People's Warden. So can I again have a show of hands just to show appreciation of that? Thank you, Linda. Thank you. And I'll say more about Linda in a minute later on, if I may. Our lay representative, I'm delighted that Linda has agreed to continue to stand as our lay representative. That was proposed by Linda Sherwood and seconded by Barbara Key. Again, can I see if that is accepted to you all? Thank you. And our alternate lay representative, Richard Peat, again proposed by Fiona Barcroft and seconded by Linda Sherwood. Once again, does that meet with your approval, please? Thank you. And can I thank both Linda and Richard for their attendance at diocesan meetings and indeed representing the congregation, much valued by them both. So thank you. The vestry and secretary and treasurer are vestry appointments. And I would like to thank Chris for all that he's done, and indeed have already done so as treasurer, and indeed to James and to Fiona. Now, James has indicated that, in a sense, he would like to, at some point, step down as secretary. And so the vestry are in the process of working out how we can manage this. But again, James has very graciously said that he will stay in post until we can get this sorted out. So can I thank both James and Fiona for the immense amount of work that they do. James as secretary and Fiona as our administrator. I'm very fortunate that I can call up Fiona and say, can you send me a link for this, or can we redo that and whatever, and she does it without grumbling and is very patient with me. So Fiona, thank you very much to you for all the hard work, and indeed from all of us to Fiona and James. And indeed Chris as our office bearers of the church. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. There were comments that were sent to Fiona. I mean, we must acknowledge those. They were from someone who was unable to attend this evening. Two comments, one about diversity and about the length of vestry attendance, as it were, on the vestry, and that will be taken up at the next vestry meeting, but I think we should formally acknowledge that this evening as well. So thank you very much. One person who is not elected, but rather is appointed by myself, is Rector's Warden, and I am delighted to have David Dean as my warden. I have never worked with a warden before coming here in all my years of ministry. So slightly new for me, but I'm delighted to say that I have great support in David and counsel, and he's someone who I can personally turn to for advice and support. So David, I'd like to thank you on behalf, well, it's not on behalf of the congregation, it's on behalf of me. It's my appointment. So thank you, David, for the work that you do and the support that you offer to me. It is so much appreciated. I'd also like to take this opportunity, yes, yeah, give him a clap, come on. Well done, Wed, give him a clap. I'd also like to thank Linda. I know that you thanked Linda as a congregation and as People's Warden. Again, I'd like to take my opportunity to thank Linda for her support, her counsel and guidance. During COVID, there were times when the three of us, that's myself and the two wardens, would have meetings all socially distanced and whatever, keeping within the guidelines. But their advice during those times was invaluable. So I'd like to offer my grateful thanks to Linda as well. Personally, Linda, thank you very much for all the work that you do. Much appreciated. Thank you. I am now probably at the, no, I think we've now got to the charitable giving part of our agenda. Can I make a suggestion here, and that is that we keep that, and that if we could revert that back to the vestry, please, for the vestry to look at, because although we are meeting in church, we might find different ways of doing this. I think it's important to think about charitable giving and to give to other outside. It's part of our mission. But can we perhaps do that later on with your permission, if that can go to the vestry? Any other business, please? I'm looking around if there's no other business. There's one thing I would like to say, and that is that in any report, I can thank people, and I try to do that by name. And I am most grateful to everybody who I have named, but I'm also aware that there's always the risk that somebody does not get thanked by a name, and it's seen as that they're forgotten. I'd like to say that nobody is forgotten, and if I've omitted anybody in my report, then please just let me know, and I will come back to you. But thank you to everybody for all that you're doing in the life of our church. Isabel's just put in a comment about how we can get charitable giving. Isabel, can we come back to you on that one? If that's okay. Thank you. Can I thank everybody for your attendance here tonight? This has been unusual, having a meeting like this online. We were set a challenge. Brendan attended one elsewhere in the diocese, and the rector there did it in 35 minutes. We've done ours in 40, so that's not too bad. That's not bad. So we'll take pleasure in that. But thank you very much to everybody for your attendance this evening, and indeed for your continued support and prayer for the life of our church. There are many people to thank, and let us hold one another in prayer as we move forward as a church. Can we then, if I ask you to unmute, please, if you can. Or Wedge will unmute us all.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
And then if I could ask that we say the Lord's Prayer together, followed by the grace. It doesn't matter if there's background noises here, we're all praying together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come,
I will be done
on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.
Amen.
Now, at this point, I would normally say to you all, safe journey home and see you later. Can I just say, safe journey to the next room and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you once again, everybody, for being here this evening. God bless you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.